Hello, folks. Oh, look at that. Straight off the gate. We've got Kaz Cusimano. Um, James knows Kaz. Hey, Kaz, thanks for joining. Let me know, give us a thumbs up if you can hear me, because that's obviously key to the whole live stream, is that you'll be able to hear myself and our distinguished guest, who I'll be introducing in a minute. I think there's about a 10-second delay between when I say something and you guys hear me on the stream, so I'll just wait to hear that everybody's hearing me okay, and then we get these the tech part done, and we can get started. So yeah, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, folks. Okay. Right. I'm going to presume that I'm going to get a thumbs up, so we'll just continue. So it's been a hot minute. I think it's been a while since we've done a live stream on the channel, and I'm super excited to come back. Great to see that we've got people ready and waiting. Obviously keen to hear from James. We've got the thumbs up, which is awesome. So I'm not going to like prattle on. I just like to sort this bit to make sure that the tech's all working. Hey Ruckus, hey Chloe, hey Lise, and we can just get going. So I am going to bring him in straight away. Here he is, Mr. James Martin, a.k.a. MBJ.
James,
how
can you see me
the hell
now?
are you?
Am I here? I'm here
Everyone
now.
can see your
Yeah.
pretty
I've been
face.
I've been waiting like some sort of weird voyeur in the background. Do you know what I mean? Watching you do your thing. How are you and how is everybody? Everybody good?
I'm really good. Like I say, it's been a while since
Yeah.
since I did the stream. It's been a while since I did a YouTube video, to be honest. Naughty me.
Yeah.
Um,
It
but
happens, mate.
you
Don't
know what
worry
it's
about it.
like. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what it's
It's
like.
difficult. Like we've all been tricked into this create content all the time game. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't even know how it happened. I'm like
Ah, it's
10,
just.
12 years in now to creating content. I was like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, what am I doing?
Are you 10, 12 years into doing content?
Oh, at minimum, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, it's about. I mean, I think, yeah, doing it properly or trying about a decade.
Same for me.
I think,
2014, I wrote my first blog.
yeah, I think before that it was just pictures of my dog, and
Yeah,
like,
it sounds like we were similar trajectory
yeah, I
from
used
that
to
point.
drink a lot back then, so it was me drinking around a fire. Pictures of my dog. Like it was the good times on Instagram where you could post pictures of your food and everybody loved it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
simpler times.
yeah, weren't
Simpler
they?
times.
Weren't they? Bring
Now
them
we're
back.
all
Bring them
competing
back.
against one another.
Yeah,
You
now
know,
it's a
and
fight.
yeah, and we'll get into that. We'll get into
Yeah.
that later on. But yeah, 2014 was when I first heard the term content marketing. That
Yeah.
that was my kind of first part into it, and I liked the idea of it because it was selling without selling. It was
Mm,
just sharing your knowledge and becoming a trusted person that people may want to work with when they needed you. And I thought that's for me because I'm too
mm,
shy and I don't like cold calling people and stuff. So that
yeah.
was really my kind of way into it. Um, did you do much in the way of blogging, or did you kind of do more Instagrammy video type stuff?
Yeah, like as I say, I don't even know when it. I don't even know. I do know I read a book by Austin Kleon called Share Your Work, and that was a big kind of catalyst for me to take things a little bit more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I think the classic creator mode of like yeah, especially over. I mean, didn't know my ass off from my elbow. Do you know what I mean? 20 years ago. 10 years ago, still figuring it out, but knew I was starting to take design more seriously. And that's when I started to read a lot more. Still doing loads of drugs and drinking back then, but like not anymore. Almost 3 years sober now, so that's fun. But anyway, tangent.
Congrats. Yeah.
Thanks, pal. Thanks, pal. So yeah, I think it's like one of those things that the same as you, I was I very early days of my own agency. People were talking about this idea of, content marketing, content creation. But even the conversations then, they weren't that. they weren't like what they are now, but there was a very small percentage of people using it as a marketing tool.
Yeah,
Um, I was fairly early in the carousel game, then I was a bit late to the real game, but I've been doing that for almost a year and a half now. So
they're doing well.
they're doing all
They're doing
right. Do
good
you know what I
numbers.
mean? Yeah, the good. The numbers are good, and they will change again. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll
Yeah,
jump on the next thing.
yeah,
So
it will.
yeah, for me, it's like I've always believed like effort is free. And if I don't, yeah, I'm probably going to lean more into some, as this educational James kind of leans in. There's only so much reach I have by myself. I'd love to reach more people and do more things. So I'm going to be trialing some paid ads and
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
how that goes. I think it's important to, try, because if you don't try, you don't know.
yeah.
So I prefer to try it, give Meta,
It's that
Facebook,
nothing
whoever
changes if
it's some
nothing
money.
changes. Eh?
That's the truth,
You know,
isn't
so
it?
you have to try it, and it's that thing. We
Exactly.
were having a little chat before we went live about a little bit of a fear factor when you're trying to grow your business about, and then you maybe get your business to a point where you're like, oh, things are starting to look okay, but then you need to grow, which usually means spending a bit more money in some place, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
then I'm going to be back to where I was. But you have
yeah,
to try these things, because if you don't, you'll never know. And it could be 50 quid spent on Google Ads changes your business because it
yeah,
just hits the right note. You don't have to spend thousands, and be hiring people and stuff. Just test things. I mean,
yeah,
LinkedIn well, I think you've got to spend 400 quid to get 400 quid from LinkedIn.
yeah.
But, so you have to have the 400
I
quid
don't
to
think
start
I
with.
don't think I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's the return, I'm not going to do that.
Have you got, just out of interest, do you pay for LinkedIn Pro, or are you still on the free one?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I paid. I also paid for what do you call it? The meta verified thing. And you know what it has? It doesn't that this doesn't have, hasn't necessarily. I don't have a fucking clue if it's helped engagement or anything like that. But they don't really tell you. But they definitely has stopped the fake accounts and all that kind of stuff. I was really struggling with loads of people like selling stuff as me,
Yeah. Yeah,
creating
that's what I suppose
accounts
that's
as
one of
me.
the
So
downsides, isn't it, to becoming, I don't say famous, but popular, more
definitely
renowned,
not
more
famous.
awareness,
Yeah.
that you're an easy target to just
Yeah, I
duplicate your
think
name and your profile picture.
everybody's it's quite easy to do as well. Like I mean, there's some very tricky scams. I mean, we're talking about all sorts of shit here, aren't we? To be fair,
Oh,
but
I knew it would
yeah, I mean,
happen. I knew
I
it
do
would
like
happen,
it.
but everything
Yeah,
everything that we talk about is still a step on the growing process. Everything that we will
yeah,
talk about here is
yeah,
is is all about that. And
yeah.
you know, one of the things that has made a big difference for you that you've told me is, is moving from the the place that I'm still in at the moment, and that is
Hmm.
doing everything by yourself,
Mm.
which is hard work,
Yeah.
and very testing, and it tests everything. It tests you, it tests relationships, both personal and client, because you're pulling yourself in all directions. So
Mm.
what was the point, that you were like, right, I can't do this on my own. I
Yeah.
need to get help or hire someone else. What
Hmm.
were you feeling at that point? Because I want to know if other people kind of, if you feel the same way that some people do, or if you
Mm.
were like, no, this is a logical business step. It's a needs must kind of thing. How were you feeling back then?
Yeah, I think everybody asks for help a little bit too late. Um, Ultimately, we seem to have this thing as, especially as like creative business owners or whatever you want to call us, because we can do it. We feel that we should do it because we're only going to have to pay somebody else to do it. But the funny thing is that actually ends up costing your business more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a fantastic book called Who, not how. I can't remember the author off the top of my head right now, but it talks about rather than figuring ultimately like
Jot
the
that down. Yeah.
yeah, it's a good book. Ultimately, the essence of the book is rather than trying to figure out how to do it, find the right who to do
Who
it
can do
for
it?
you.
Yeah.
Because there are things that might take you a month to figure out that you can get executed in a couple of days. Yes, it will cost you short term, but for those extra 28 days, you can be using it, selling it,
The
building
thing that you've
it.
procrastinated on for 5 years is suddenly now
Exactly.
an item that
Yeah,
is
exactly.
actionable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've become extremely addicted to finding the right who's now. So I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm capable of. I know where my value is best served. And when I brought, for example, as I'm scaling Made by James into this no nonsense education platform, I brought on my good friend Melinda Livesey as a creative director. So,
Exactly.
and I've
Fantastic
got
move.
my friend George, who was with me at Baby Giant, who's now like lead designer within Made by James. And I've got Adrian, who looks after the website. I've got Lauren, who looks after the community
You're
and
making me
my.
jealous. Stop
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
it.
but
Yeah.
it
But
costs money. Do you know
yeah,
what
it
I mean?
does.
It does create. My payroll has gone from this to this,
And it
but
introduces different, I suppose, not I don't say stresses, but it introduces different things that you have to look at that
yeah,
you didn't have to before. So you become a different kind of part in the business, don't you? You're sort of, but
very
although
much so.
you
Yeah,
then hire someone else to look after, you have an
numbers.
accountant and all the rest of it. It's like, okay, look after
Yeah,
the bookkeeping, and because
yeah.
I don't want to do that because I don't want to see how much money I'm putting out
Yeah,
on that
but
kind of
I
stuff.
like to see. I like to be fair. Like many people might know him here, and I know you all know him, Mike Jander.
Hmm.
Good friend, good buddy of mine, and he's like I became good friends with him. Quite a few years ago now, and something that I've always loved about his content and what he's always drilled into me and others is the data. Do you know what I mean? You have to know your numbers. You have to know. I mean, for example, within like Made by James, the business Made by James education platform, like we are tracking like income every single week, incomings, outgoings. We have a 90-day window. That 90-day window is usually broken down into 13 weeks, and
Hmm.
every single week we're on a leadership team call with investors, myself and Melinda, and we're breaking down like the measurables, how much money did we bring in? Where did that money come in from? Like email newsletter growth, like page visits. Do you know what I mean? I could go on and on and on and
Yeah, and
on. And
that's I
now I
suppose
get I get fucking turned on about numbers now. Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
the problem I'll tell you the problem is with not knowing the numbers and not understanding the data is like what will generally happen is somebody will go, now start the new year full of jazz, spunk,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it, and now go, do you know what? This year I'm going to do 100K, or this year I'm going to do 50K. What they do is they go through the year, and then what happens is they get to December the 27th and go, oh, I wonder how much I've earned this year. And they go 30K, or let's say they're trying to get to 100K and they might have done 65. The problem is because they haven't tracked it, because they don't understand the numbers, they now don't have enough time
yeah. There's
to
no
get to where they
stretch.
want to
Yeah, there's
be.
no stretch goals
So
or
by knowing
anything.
your numbers every single week, like I know exactly the amount of revenue we brought in this week, or last, we always do it like a week, last week, so we always look at the previous week. I know exactly how much money my business has brought in to date, to almost the hundred. Do you know what I mean? So, but what that does, it allows me to see my pace and it
It
allows me
lets you
to
plan,
tweak,
doesn't it?
it allows me
Yeah,
to change. Yeah. So
yeah,
you got to have some measurable targets within your business. But again, like Melinda is fantastic when it comes to this stuff. She has kind of taken that role of like chief organizer of this thing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And she owns that. And like the most important thing is finding the right people in the right seats. Do you know what I mean? And that isn't an easy job.
No, that's
And you
that'd be a
can go,
task.
you can go through a few rotters to find the right person, and
Yeah.
yes, that's a struggle, but you've got to let go to grow, and that's something that I've definitely found is I was becoming the bottleneck within the business. I was, especially before I transitioned into the education space more and more, like I was doing all the client calls, I was doing all the coaching, I was doing all the brand identity, I was doing all the creativity, I was doing all the feedback, I was doing all the business growth, the content creation. Do you know what I mean? Like suddenly it's like, no wonder I'm doing 14, 15 hours a day and feel like
Yeah.
shit. Because also like half of that stuff I didn't enjoy doing. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
wasn't my
you've
superpower.
probably
Yeah.
just described a
Every
vast
creative on the
majority
planet.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Yeah.
most freelance design businesses. Because I'm 10, yeah, 10 years ago, I was definitely, I'm still in that position of doing everything myself. But
Mm.
10 years ago, I was running myself into the ground. I was working, I couldn't work any more hours, but I couldn't get past a certain threshold of income.
Yeah.
That
Ceiling.
and that fell down to being a people pleaser. And I think you've posted about this as well before, and I think we've talked about it a little bit before in a previous call. In that being a people pleaser is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's a bad no. To please people is a nice thing to do, but if you're doing it to the detriment of your business and yourself and your
Mm.
family and all the rest of it, then it is a problem.
Mm.
Over delivering and pleasing that way can be done within the confines of just good
Yeah.
planning and saying, okay, I'm going to charge this amount, but I know that I'm going to surprise them with this extra thing, which is just going to make them go, oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
recommend, James to everyone. I'm going to recommend Call to everyone. But
Yeah.
I was in that spot, and the difference between then and now is that I am still doing everything. And there are some months where I'm like, geez, I can't do
Yeah.
all of it. But
Yeah.
I am now charging way more than I was back then.
Mhm.
So the pressures are slightly different. I'm doing a lot less projects, but I'm putting more of myself into the projects.
Mm.
But my next step is basically where you've gone. I try to pretend that, I work better on my own and all. I have had employees in the past,
Mm.
and it just didn't really work out. Like you say, you go through some people and things, and it just doesn't work or go to the way that you thought it would, and you go, oh, I'm just going to go back to working myself. Right
Yeah.
now, I am working with a lot more subcontractors, so that's
Mhm.
that's a good way to start
Yeah, you're
feeling your
not
way out.
contractually
Find some
obliged
good
to.
subcontractors
Yeah.
you can trust.
Yeah.
You're not having to worry about wage packets and taxes because they have to deal with that themselves. But then obviously they are not working for you, and they will have other clients and stuff, so they will have other tugs and pulls on them, so they won't
Mm.
always be fully focused on helping you grow your business because they still have their own business. But that's a
Mhm.
good way to kind of do that. And a lot of freelance designers have perfectionism, of only I can do it this way,
Yeah.
whereas the epiphany for me was, I remember when I hired the first designer as an employee, and I gave them a task and they were doing it, and I'm looking over their shoulder going, oh, I wouldn't have done that. And
Mm.
what are they doing? What are they doing? And I thought, let them do it, just let them do it, you let them do it. And then they went to the client with it, and the client loved it. And it was the
Yeah.
client said, oh, this is great, this is how I'm doing it. And I'm like, surely this is the point of hiring other designers, is to get different creative avenues and
Yeah.
processes. I don't want someone exactly like me, you know?
There's no one like you, Cole. Do you know
Oh
what I
well,
mean? There's no
that
one
could
like
be a
you.
good or a bad thing. But
That's only good in my mind.
um, but that was an eye. So I've taken lessons, even though that was a few years ago now. It's always stuck with me, and it's like, it's not a bad thing. And
Mhm.
we mentioned as well that the money can sometimes be the thing that holds you back. Because let's say you're making 40 grand a year, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, okay, I really, really want to get a designer in, and it might just be somebody part time, 20 hours a week, 16 hours a week. But you're like, okay, I
Mm.
want to pay them a decent wage. I don't want to be a dick, I
Mm.
want to pay at least, the living wage, whatever that is. I don't know. But you're
Yeah.
like, but that's going to take away half of my money.
Mm.
But at the same time, what you'll get back is all of that time for you to do the things that you're constantly going, I wish I had more time to redo my website or go to more business networking events or
Mm.
create more content because you're doing all the client work. So
Yeah.
I think once you can get past that, and I think that's clearly what happened with yourself, is that suddenly time was opened up for you to go, okay, I don't need to worry about that now. I can now do this. And the things
Mm.
that you said, you know you're good at.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably a little bit more complex than that. I think you're right, but I think there is this extra layer of like, you know, I think like this, well, especially like so ultimately for 20 years I've been a designer. For the last few years I've been leaning into this education space. I'm kind of going to where you're kind of landing here. Um, but like for so long I was what there's this famous quote that I read in a book fairly recently, which was the man who chases two rabbits catches neither. So ultimately what I was doing was I was servicing clients and I was trying to help as many designers as I possibly could. This was somewhat confusing my purpose and somewhat confusing myself. Do you know what I mean? When I wanted to build a course, I'd have to stop all client work, and then
Yeah.
when I wanted to, when I built the course and gone through that, I'd then stop that to then take on clients again. So there's
Yeah.
constant, like, different brain kind of thing. So like this idea of like understand like I think the like I said like by choosing the thing that I wanted to do, which I've only just done very recently, the beginning of this year, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean, has allowed me to understand where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I think that's the really big thing that we possibly missed in that conversation was like it's difficult to hire somebody or difficult to hire the right person if you don't have a fucking clue where you're going.
If you don't know your direction. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and I think that's where a lot of designers are, is they are growing, they are doing what they want to do, but it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, there's always this process. I, I make shit up, and I'm gonna make this shit up, but I think what happens is like every 3 to 4 years, you generally evolve. Like, not necessarily you get bored, but like for me personally, I always they go through these 3 to 4 year cycles of like what's next. Do you know what I mean? So I'll try new things like through those periods, and I'll be like, yeah, this is how I want to be. This is how I want to evolve. So, you know, that's always happening. That could happen like from very early. So I was a graphic designer, doing everything, all sorts of
Yeah.
shit that I didn't want to do. And then I kind of went, oh, do you know what? I'm going to lean into this logo thing. And then I did that for a long time, loved it, first few years, and then was like, there's got to be more to this. And it was like, well, I need to lean more into visual identity because I want my work to be more effective. And I was learning more and I was understanding that there was more value to be made, more money to be made if I lent into doing more things for my clients. So I started to go into this animation and, let's say, visual systems. And after doing that for a few years, I was like, oh, what's next? Do you know what I mean? And then it was like more brand identity. So I was bringing in, doing much bigger projects, like bringing some strategists in and being more calculated with my creativity. And then during this process, I was like, fucking hell, I've got all this cool stuff in my mind. I want to share it with people.
Yep.
What's next? And then the courses came, and it was like, do you know what I mean? Then the book, do you know what I mean? And it was all this kind of like this constant, like I say, like every 3 to 4 years, I feel myself getting uncomfortable, and I'm like, okay, well that means like it's not that I know everything. It's that I want to learn more. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think
No, I know exactly what you mean.
when you know that like now I'm super clear on like 10 year like free design education for the world. Like that is like such a crystal clear thing in my mind. But that ain't going to happen tomorrow. Look, I'm doing some free courses. I create free content. I give away as much as I possibly can on my newsletter, you know. But like I'm doing what I can right now, but it's impossible. I still have to, I can't just give everything away for
No, you
free
can't. And
because
that's,
I have a child and I have a
yeah.
home and I
And
have
that's a
to
great
eat.
point, is
Yeah.
that you want to build this, you know, this system to make design education free. But at the same time, like you say, you still have all of these people aligned with you and working with you that need to be paid to help you to do that. So
Yeah.
funding has to come in for it. So it's like I can't do everything for free. There is elements, and it's funny, like your 3 to 4 year story and change thing just reflects everything that I did. Where the one difference I think, but you may have done it anyway, but you said, you got to the point, it's like, oh, I want to do, the like brand, bigger brand. So you brought strategists in. I got to that. I did the graphic design thing, did everything, went in for logo, and then went into wider identity. And then I was like, and I think I got speaking to someone, and they were like, oh, you know quite a lot about, you've been doing all this strategy stuff. It's more than just a logo. There's all the strategy stuff. Why don't you offer that as a separate service? Because some people might need. So I ended up, I went to the first level C with Martin Neumeyer, and I will say one of the main reasons was to just go and meet Martin Neumeyer.
Yeah.
But I came away from that with the qualification, the level C thing, and I kind of felt that that's what I wanted to do, and I did that for a few years, and I realized I forced myself into that box because I felt that that's what I needed to do in order to serve my clients better.
Yeah. Did you do it because the internet told you to do it?
No, I kind of got into it before it became the thing.
A social media thing.
The thing.
Yeah. Being a designer isn't enough. Wasn't it what everybody was
you're
saying?
Not a true designer if you don't know brand strategy, and you're not a brand strategist and all that. And then what happens is you come
around. What a load of
cock
that is, by the way.
Sorry?
What a load of cock that is, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you come around the other side of it, and you go, it's bullshit. Most logo designers are strategists. They just don't
they don't have to appease the social media lords with it.
You have to understand it. And I think that's one of the key things as well, is being able to turn yourself off to a lot of what's being said. So that can kind of cover some of the stuff that you say. There's a lot of fluff out there. There's a lot of bullshit and a lot of crap. And it's just people echoing and mimicking what other people are saying. It's just headline reading without looking into, well, what's the actual substance of this? Where are your numbers? Looking at the numbers again. What's the difference between a logo designer who has done brand strategy and doesn't? The one difference that it made to me was for some reason, it gave me confidence to put my pricing up. But because I felt I had another string on my bow, could now call myself a brand strategist.
Yeah, you can ask better questions, can't you? And when you ask better questions, you might be able to grow a project, for example. Yeah.
And that's all it comes down to, is can you ask questions?
Or better questions.
Can you ask good ones?
Yeah, and I think that's right with reference. I think there's going to be a lot of and I hate to overgeneralize because there's so many people doing so many good things, but there are also so many people basically living the dreams or chasing the success that other people want, not necessarily what they want. And in about 2 or 3 years' time, they're going to be sitting there going, "What the fuck have I done?"
Yeah, why don't I do what my heart is telling me to do?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, and I'm not blaming the people. I'm blaming the way we consume. I think the way we're taught, like it was, I don't want to sound like two fucking old bastards here, but we grew up in a world without social media, and like if you wanted to get into design, there was a methodical order. You would create a portfolio, you would go and get a job, and then you'd start at the bottom, and then you'd work your way up, and then if you made it long enough, you might stay in that agency, and if you were good enough, you might end up freelancing, then blah 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 blah. The idea of being internet famous, creating content wasn't here nor there. Now, like I speak to very, very young. I know the world's different and stuff's very accessible now, but people aren't even thinking, like, on the whole, aren't even thinking about getting a design agency role. They just want to start their own, freelance from the get-go.
Yeah.
They got no money, they're just jumping straight in. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Do you know what I mean? That is a risk. That is a
Yeah, it
risk.
is a risk. There'll be a
Um,
very small. I'd like to see the
and
numbers on
unfortunately,
that.
I reckon they say. I mean, I'd say these aren't necessarily super accurate, but I have heard this. Like, I think only like 45% of people make it past year three, and I think only like 15% of people make it past year five. Do you know what I mean? So when you look at that in terms of numbers, do you know what I mean? And a lot
Yeah,
of these people have been also working in agencies, especially from a freelance perspective. They've been working in agencies for 3 to 4 years, and those are the stats based on them making it in
and
freelance,
yeah,
not straight out of
not
college.
straight out.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But it's again like there is like I'll tell you right now, if I was starting again, I wouldn't go to uni. I don't think. I don't believe I would go down the like design education route,
hmm,
like with university or anything
yeah,
like that. And that's not because I don't think it's a. I did it. I learned a lot, but I think for the money, you can go and join a community, get a business coach. You can learn some real world shit for a fraction of the price
yeah.
than you would be going to education. And I think the accessibility, but the problem is you've got to be fucking driven. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be disciplined and you've got to be willing to
And not everyone,
sacrifice
yeah, not
stuff.
everyone can do that, and that's
No,
where, like you say, I think for some people, the structure and rigidity of like a college course or a uni course is good because it keeps them on the rails and
yeah, but
moving
also
forward.
teaches you how to get feedback. It teaches you how to present
Oh,
your work. It
what
teaches
I
you how
yeah,
to do all the
being
things
able
that
to
you
take
need to do in the
feedback
real
is a
world.
big thing,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
think
massive.
it's something which a lot of people are struggling with, and can't take it and take it as a personal attack. And
Yeah,
like, you need to step back.
yeah.
This is,
Mm.
it's a to and fro.
Yeah, I was
Let's do
speaking to
that.
a
But
friend of mine, Thad Cox. He's a fantastic thinker, and he was telling me a story about like the way things are going. Like, because what happens is now, like when I say like when I was working in the agency and I was presenting some work, what I would do is I present it to the people above me, and they go, yes. No, 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 no,
yeah,
no, no, no. In fact, there was very rarely a yes, to be fair. But
yeah,
what I would do is I'd take that on board and I'd go and develop it, and then there'd be less no's. The
yeah,
problem is now what people can do is people are very resilient because they don't have to be. So what happens is like I can say to you, "Oh, I don't like your work," and you just go block
yeah,
out of sight,
yeah.
out of sight, out of mind.
I
Right,
don't have to
I'll
deal
just
with you
listen to all the
anymore.
good shit.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If
yeah.
you don't say something bad, block.
Fill
Do
my
you know what I
ego.
mean?
Fill
Do
my
you know what I
ego.
mean? Yeah. But the problem is what happens is like when a client is then in front of them and saying no.
You can't just block them.
Yeah, I know so many young designers who are adamant that they are right and the client is wrong, and
Oh,
they've only been
yeah,
doing it for 2, 3 years. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? And I'm like, dude, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not always a dude; it could be a dudette. Like,
Yeah, it could,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, but I'm just like this idea of like because of the culture and like the tech and the way we interact now, and especially the people that have grown up with this tech, swipe left, swipe what I like this, I like that, I can block this, I can block that. They don't have to deal with any struggle because they can just switch it off. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's crazy.
I mean,
So
there's part of me
taking
that's
that. Yeah, sorry. I get
there's part
very,
of me
very passionate about
that
this. Sorry.
want yeah no I knew, and that's the thing. I think I said that in the first post about this. I said I'd probably get a bit passionate and a bit sweary, but there's the thing, I always try to be very careful that I don't come across as a grumpy old man, oh, back in my day we had to do this, we had to do that. But
It
I mean,
happens.
I'm fully sort of embracing AI into certain parts of my workflow for
Mm,
doing the more mind numbing things, like just formatting proposals and, just the stuff that I'm like, I don't need to be spending hours on this because it's not anything which is worth doing that.
mm,
But at the same time, I am an incredibly shy person, and for me to start my own design business was out of necessity, really. Just I
mm,
had really bad luck with, I had a couple of companies I worked for just went into receivership, no fault of mine
mm,
And then my last design job, the manager of the studio was just a tyrant, and
Yeah.
my mental health was in tatters because of him. And so I left that, and I was like, well, I've got nothing else. I'll start up my own little studio. And as a shy person who doesn't like speaking to other people, I had to really force myself out of my comfort zone. And I've had some horrible interactions with clients who've not liked stuff and things like that. But what that's done over the years is it lets you build up a sort of a thicker skin, but also it builds up your communication skills. So rather than just jumping right back in as to, I know best, I'm the designer, you've paid me for money, you start to be able to read people, see how you can kind of bring them round onto your side and have the discussion properly, and it really, really works. And I think that's a skill it's not a skill I was taught at uni, so that's something that never
Well, those
happened at art college.
softy skills, is that what we're
Yeah,
talking
you know,
about?
so all of these soft skills, which are actually the hardest skills
Possible, yeah. For some, yeah.
to deal with, because we could all learn to design and stuff like that, but you need to have the actions of having conversations with clients and stuff to learn from it. Role play can be good, even just, get a bunch of design mates together and just role play. Somebody be a shitty client and just try to deal with it. Just how can you work this out? Do it amongst friends so it's not really awkward. Ideally have someone in that group who's more experienced, who can kind of say, well, that's not really quite realistic, it wouldn't happen that way.
Yeah, I've never had a client pick up a table and chuck it at me.
But role play is something that I think is important, and it's something which I started to kind of draft an idea around to kind of put out there again, like as a free kind of resource, how to role play a client, meeting where it's just not gone right. And so you can kind of figure out, well, what could we have done? I love the word vanguard. What vanguard could we have done at the start? Well, we could have explained how the timeline works. We could have explained that they only get X number of revisions. We could have explained, and a lot of the problems that people come into is because they're just assuming the client knows a lot of stuff. And these are just, to me now, today, it's like, it's the fundamental things I do before I start a project. But to many people who are new or not that long in the design world, they still don't do that. And it's like, and it hurts my soul that these are easy fixes, and it would just turn around and turn what are disastrous jobs into actually great jobs with long-term clients, because the client's like, oh, this is fucking great designer. They're listening to me. They understand me. They let me have my say, because that's important. You want the client to feel like a partner in it, even though you're like, I know what's going to work here, but they need to be on board with it, so.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think those, like you said, those soft skills don't get taught. Those soft skills are often.
And I think that's where people like us can really help and put that.
Well, I hope
there.
so, but like I was also very shit at it for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Like, read a lot
I would just
of
say
books.
yes all the time and just give them what they wanted.
Yeah.
Then I started to say things like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool," and just hint that it wouldn't go into my portfolio. So they're like, "What do you mean? Why isn't it going in your portfolio? Do you not think it's good enough?" It's just little hints without saying to them, "Well, if that's what you want, then that's what you can get." But now I don't kind of. It was. When I think back on that response, it was kind of a shitty sort of passive-aggressive kind of way to get them to do it.
You must have been going through some tough times, Carl.
I had some. There was 1-2 years where I had horrific clients. One of the ones was in the last. If anyone watching saw my last LinkedIn post promoting this stream, and he was in the construction industry, and it was just. His way of communication was just so rough, and I didn't mind swearing. I'm Scottish. I swear a lot. But it was aggressive, and it was found it really hard. And I was actually scared of him. I was frightened of him.
You don't need that.
I remember the day I sacked him as a client, and I was terrified because I didn't know how he was going to react. And he reacted the way that I thought he would react, but it actually made it easier for me to go, and this is why you're not my client anymore.
Yeah.
And to
Well,
this
especially
day,
also the importance of contracts and stuff like that as well. So.
yeah. And just a quick plug for what will come later. But yeah, you've got a really good set of contracts that people can get. So we'll give some links later on for that.
Oh,
But
that's very
having the control and I was speaking to someone earlier this week and saying how at the start of the project, just vanguard that by saying, if you're going to be doing lots of ideas and sketches, because I know that that's kind of the process you use. You just like rough it. You rough it. You're not going into any kind of, but you're like, oh, there's a nugget of gold in this. I'd like to develop this, but that's further into the project. We need to get into the next phase before we do that, because
my process has evolved a lot over the years.
Yeah. So the idea and the concept is where the value is. We can all learn the tools and stuff like that. So it's about making sure the client's aware that it's still your IP, it's all your copyright, nothing's been assigned over to them. They can't just take your ideas and run with them. So contracts and that will cover all of that, and it's good to have that. I'm maybe a little bit lazy with contracts at times. I tend to only pull them out for like the really big projects.
That is lazy. You know what I mean?
And it's like, so I need to, get better myself. I do, but I think as well, because I work on fewer projects than I used to, and it used to be like, oh, so many things I have to deal with, contracts. And again, it's that thing of doing everything on your own. You're like, where can I save time? What do I not need to do? But the things like not having things in writing are what's going to cost you money.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not the 99 good people you work with. It's the one bad person that you work with
who will take up 99% of your time.
Yeah, and energy, and
you can't sleep because you're worried about
it. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I for a long time when I started out, I did like unlimited revisions. I had no contracts, like as a logo designer. And I look back on those times now, and I'm like, how did I not get kicked in the butt way worse than I did? Do you know what I mean? A few people did, but I think this is the part of the process is you learn from your mistakes. Like I said, I didn't have a contract for a long time when I started out. I had limited revisions for logos. Like my theory was, well, if I do my job properly, like I'll get there. And like I said, I was very, very lucky that it didn't bite me in the butt too often, but it started to. And I was like, I've got to fucking change some stuff here, because otherwise, like it was the idea of like, as soon as I started putting these slightly more kind of business procedure based things in place, contracts like statements of work, outlining schedules, deposits, 75, you've always got 75% up front, 25% on completion, and like within the contract, it's stipulated like no communication policies, like hand holding policies, like all of these things that what would happen was that I would sleep like a bambino every single night, because I knew if a client switched on me at any particular point, I was in total control. And I could let them barrage me, and I would just go,
just like, yes, I have
whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? But when you don't have that in place, you have to deal with it. You're chasing your tail. You're like, what's my move? What's next? Which is the stressful part.
I suppose I should probably caveat the lack of contracts thing in that most of my clients are long-term repeat clients.
Oh yeah.
So I don't want people thinking that I'm just like cavalier with everything. Because I thought, oh, wait a minute. It's that I have clients, like 15-year long clients, and they just come to me and they're like, oh, we need to maybe I might even be a rebrand, so it's a big job.
Yeah.
And I maybe don't.
Yeah,
we'll have a scope of work and all the rest of it, but it's maybe just not legal documents that get signed.
You're
And
making.
yeah, it's,
I'm not going to sleep tonight knowing that you don't do that now. Do you know?
well, you know,
Struggle
I sleep pretty well.
like a bambino, like a
But
baby.
10 years ago I didn't.
No.
You know, it was a very different story. So I'm trying to think if we've kind of so in terms of the, if I just jump over to, hopefully this will work here. Let me make sure that I am. Yeah, so if I jump over
What are you
here,
going to
so
do? You're
everyone
going to do
can still
something.
see
You're
us.
going to do
So
something technical.
yeah. So basically, everyone can still see both of us, but we're now looking at your website. Okay.
Oh wow.
So
Where
so
is
if,
it?
if we just take the top part of your website, the no nonsense approach to design education, no gatekeeping, no fluff, and no overpriced crap. Just in
I
a
love it.
nutshell, just what do you mean by the no gatekeeping, the no fluff, and no overpriced crap? What kind of stuff is out there that covers that?
I think we would possibly classically call it positioning as designers. Like I think, I mean, anybody that has known me for some time will know, I've always been very consistent with trying to give real value, based on real world, based on I never tell people what they should do. I just tell them what I do and let them use it if they want.
Mm.
And I'm not, obviously, I've always tried to be very transparent about my prices, but transparent about my feelings inside and outside of work. I've always been very transparent about my process. Like I said, for a decade, I've been opening up and sharing this stuff, and many have said to me, like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're telling these people all these things, like, they're going to take all your work. And I've actually found the opposite. I've got more work. The more I've opened up, the more work I've got. So
It's counterintuitive, isn't it?
it
It's
does.
weird
It
how it works, and it's the
does
same with
feel that
opening
way.
up. And you have opened up, a lot on your early life and things that
Mm.
happened, and for some people, and this is the thing as well, for some people that'll be a turn off and they won't want to work with you. But for
Of course,
others
yeah.
who appreciate the transparency and the vulnerability and the openness, that's who they want to learn from and work. And I try to have that approach as well. And there's somebody for everyone, and we just need to kind of be out there. And one of the things I took a screenshot of your email from a couple of days ago.
Love
And I'm showing that on screen now as well,
that.
because it's just there's a lot of stuff that you're a little bit. That's not a little bit. You're a lot ahead of the game of where I'm now in that sort of 3 to 4 year thing where my passion is I want to be teaching for most of my time with doing select design stuff and building a team. But it was your email about burnout, and like you, burnout is a term, but it kind of masks the complexity of what that can be. And I know people that have experienced. I mean, I've experienced burnout to an extent, but then I've seen people who have literally ended up in hospital from burnout. So there's difference, but it's this. I'm just going to read the paragraph. Everyone's got eyes, but I'll read it anyway. That seems to be what people do.
Please do. I've forgotten what I've written.
Because you can't see it. You can't see it, but these are your words, though.
Love it,
Mr. Martin. Okay, so it's like I don't really like the word burnout because it's all a bit oversimplified and it doesn't provide enough context to the situation that we may be feeling. Personally, I know when I push myself too far, and this is what resonated with me because it described me. It's the lack of energy, feeling distance from my work, inefficient with my time, my procrastination levels go through the roof. I develop a sense of cynicism. That's a prime signal for me when I know that something's not right. Feeling detached from my plan and my purpose. For me, it's a mixture of emotional, mental, and physical fuckery. The cynicism part, I know when I'm not in a good place, when I maybe see somebody post something online or whatever, and my first instinct is to kind of not be a troll, but kind of be like, oh, good for you or whatever, rather than when I'm in a good place, I'm like, oh, well done. Yeah, you celebrate people's things. So I was reading that and I was like, this is the thing. This is what's good about openness, transparency, and vulnerability. it lets people know that they're not weirdos and that they're not
No,
alone, and we all
no.
do it. Even published authors, people who are building strong businesses, have these things happen to them. But the
Mm,
key thing is that you don't. And I've not. The screen grab doesn't have all of the steps that you sometimes take. That's
hmm.
I didn't want to go through all of that. But the key point is don't leave it too late
Yeah,
before speaking to someone.
yeah,
Just reach out, and it will just you'll feel so much better. It's not might not cure everything, but you'll definitely feel better. And that's
yeah.
something that I learned a long time ago. And it's also a reason that I advocate accountability groups for people, because they can start off, people don't know one another, and it's about business and things. But as you meet weekly or bi-weekly, you get to know one another well, and the
Mhm.
support mechanisms start to kick in, and
It's
and
huge.
can just be amazing. And I helped set up a little accountability group in my Discord community, because I have one, and it was a game changer for me, and
Yeah.
just brought some people together. And I can't remember. There's a couple of them in the chat. I don't know how long they've been going now in that group, but from what I hear, it's quite successful, because I don't go in there. It's none of my business.
Mm.
But they've got their own little private channel and stuff, and they've been doing that. And I think it's really, because they were all, like a lot of us are,
Yeah.
freelancers in our own little space trying to deal with clients.
Yeah.
And
It's a tough
in the,
world.
what did you call it, the emotional, mental,
Emotional,
and physical
physical,
fuckery,
yeah, mental mind
takes
fuckery. Yeah.
over.
It does.
But
And it's and that's like, especially when, burnout, like I said, it is a complex beast. And it's not, it's again like, I mean, I use the word love a lot, but it's so oversimplified. I tell everybody that I love them, but when you actually break down what these things are, like, do I really love them, or I'm just saying it because
yeah,
I'm just frivolously chucking these things around? But
yeah,
I try now to, when I tell people that I love them, I make sure it's the people that I truly, truly love. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. It's not.
but
It's
like
not just a
with the
catchphrase. Yeah,
yeah, with the burnout thing again, it becomes a hot topic, a hot trend where, it sometimes gets convoluted, it sometimes gets oversimplified, and that actually, for people that are suffering with it, makes them feel worse. So, like
yeah.
whenever I'm trying to talk about a particular subject, I try and do it from a place of, again, how it makes me feel. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just copying what somebody's written on a
Yeah.
carousel, do you know what I mean? On InstaTwat, do you know what I mean? I'll actually kind of really think about how I feel. And, I think it doesn't matter how, um, like, how long you've been in business, how long you've been doing a certain thing. I think everybody gets to a point, especially if they're continuously evolving, continuously trying to change. Like like I admitted in the email, like I fucked up. Do you know what I mean? I was traveling around America. I was in 5 different time zones. I was launching a course. I'm building this new business. I'm still
Oh,
working with Lincoln
so much
Design
stuff.
Co. I'm still creating the content, like hiring, firing, all these things that I'm trying to do within my business, and like I got home and I was ill and I was jet lagged and I was doing all these things and my body, I could feel myself panicking.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I was out of a routine, I was all these things, and it wasn't just burnout. Like, okay, let's break this down because you can only get better if you understand it. And like when we talk about this emotional, physical, and mental
Hmm.
thing, like that's how I would break it down. So emotionally, what I need to do is I need to sort myself out. So I need to talk to somebody. Do you know what I mean? I need to share this with my wife. I need to let my team know how I'm feeling. I need to speak to my business mentor and just let them know how I feel. I'm not going to hide from this because if I hide it and hold it in, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get
Exactly.
it out there. Then the physical side of it, like from traveling around, being on a plane, sleeping in like 20 different beds in hotels and traveling around, I didn't move. Do you know what I mean? I was like not
Just
getting exercise and I
yeah.
wasn't looking after myself physically. So simplify. Get up every morning at the same time, walk my dog. Done. Do you know what I mean? And then the mental side of it was like, I like for me, like reading is so important. Reading for me is the thing that's mine. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, as well as the exercise, as well as family, like, all these things. But reading for me is such an important thing. So I just got into the rhythm of reading for an hour. When I get into the office every morning, I sit in this little chair and I read for an hour. I set my timer for 59 minutes, 1 hour, and I push it. Don't turn anything on, and I go and sit over there and I read. And when that alarm goes off, I'm that. And do you know what? That looks after my mental.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So emotional, physical, mental, focusing on what are the things I need to do in these, and suddenly back.
You're back to where you were.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But like, if you try and push through it, if you don't look after yourself, if you just wake up and try and get on with it, it's not gonna help. Do you know what I mean?
That's
So
what it was 10 years ago. And so, like you say,
yeah.
you've got to put yourself into what it is you post. You can't just copy the latest carousel, how to do things. There'll
Mm.
be obviously elements in the carousel which are true, but
Yeah.
you need to bring that thing into it. And so when people, if you're posting things and people are replying, say it's like you're talking to me. It's this is the
Mm.
how I'm feeling as well. You know that you're helping in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the person that I'm speaking to um, today is me 10 years ago, because I
Mm.
hired a coach to help me to get out of my own way to launch my mentoring service, because I kept
Mm.
talking about it. And people in Discord will know that I kept talking about, oh, I'm thinking about doing it, and I didn't do it. I ended up going
Yeah.
like, I'm going to pay someone to just
Yeah.
get me to just go through the motions, because I was like, I need to have a website, I need to have materials, I need to have carousels, I need to have reels, and my coach went, no, you don't. You just need to tell people you're mentoring.
Yeah.
And I did, and I did, and I just put up a post on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm
Yeah.
now offering mentoring services, and I got 10 inquiries, and it was just, it's amazing what we think we need to do
Mm. Action is what
to
we need to
it,
do, isn't it?
yes. And it's
Yeah.
a lesson that we all go, I need to take action, and we write down, I will take action. And that's as far
Mm.
as it goes. It's the
Yeah.
diet
Often.
starts Monday type thing. I'll just get this
Yeah.
out of the way, and I'll just get this out of the way. So it's
Yeah.
great to see that you've been taking action. And you know just like I remember seeing the announcement that Melinda was on board, and I was like, oh, there's dream team building going on here. This is amazing to see, because there is a lot of there is a lot of content out there. There is a lot of content, and sometimes I think as well it needs a little bit of curation so that
Hmm.
people aren't kind of wasting their time everywhere.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I'm a one man band, and there's only so much that I can do, and I'm getting more focused on where do I want to be, what do I need to have in place to do this. And I've got my coach and I've got my mentor that
Mm.
really help keep me grounded and
Yeah.
and keep me on point. Um, but yeah, I'm still to make my money, I still need to do design right now, because mentoring
Yeah.
isn't at the point, or coaching isn't at the point.
But it's the plan, isn't it? I think that's the most.
It is.
I
It's
think
like you
that.
said. It's the January. I want to make 100K. Oh crap! It's December 27th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And like having that plan and
I've got
having an
my 90-day
idea.
blocks, and
Yeah.
I'm a little bit behind on this 90-day block,
That's fine.
but um, things are looking great, because the action is there, even if it's small steps.
Mm.
And a shout out again to people in Discord who give me nudges every now and again. Oh, you said about this, where's that thing, or when are
Yeah.
you doing this?
Yeah.
I started a book club in the Discord, mainly to get me to read books. So it was
And
like,
are you
okay,
reading books?
yes, every month we pick a book, and it might be one book a month. Sometimes I'll read another one at the same time, but
Mm.
I know it's helping other people in the Discord to read.
Mm.
And it's more businessy mindset, things that are
Love
going to
that.
help the sole trader,
Yeah.
a
Well,
sole business owner.
it's like what you talked about earlier. The like you we're all, especially as designers or as creative people, we're going to get better at Illustrator, we're going to get better at drawing, we're going to
Yeah.
get better at idea generation because we do it all the time. But the thing that you need to last is good, strong mind. Like
Yeah.
if you don't have that, all the tools you have, all the hard skills you have,
It's
all
not
the
going to,
Illustrator tutorials you can do are
yeah,
fucking pointless.
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
Um,
it's mad.
I mean, so the book that we're reading just now is Feck per Function by James Victoire.
I was
Um,
on a call
yeah, I
with
saw a photo of
James.
you with him and all the
Yeah,
rest
but
of
I
it.
know half an hour before this call, I was on a call with
Oh,
him,
are you?
having a chat. Yeah,
Nice one.
yeah.
So I'm
He's a
halfway
good
through
guy.
that at the minute. Really, really enjoying it.
Mm.
Also, not, it's a great book, but it's also quite short. So,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
um, so it's a
And
good
he's
one.
entertaining.
It's a good one. It's the kind of book that you can kind of go through and then you can go through again with more of a
Mm,
mindset of, I want to pay particular attention to this. And I've got quite a few books
mm.
like that I go back to again and again. The Art of War is probably, um,
Heavy, that book.
yeah,
It's heavy.
yeah.
Um,
Sometimes you need to be
as
pushed.
a dyslexic, I like books with pictures in it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I love.
Is that why you wrote a picture book, James?
Yeah, I basically pop-up
Yeah,
book is what I did. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's mad. But reading, like I said, for me is like that mindset, like leveler, the control, I'm always like I'm not like a big Harry Potter fan or like Mockingjay, or I don't go into
yeah,
is it fiction? Is it fiction?
yeah,
Or yeah, not yeah. I don't even know the difference between
yeah.
fiction
It's
and
fiction,
non-fiction. That's how
non-fiction,
little I
non-fiction's
know.
business ebooks and history
Yeah,
and
and
stuff
that's
like that.
what
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm always reading things about mindset, you know, like business, because that's where I love reading
but
that
it's
stuff. I
funny
love
though, isn't it?
learning
It's
stuff.
like
Yeah.
when you're in that zone of kind of confidence of where you're trying to go, you just want to absorb these books and to
Yeah.
know things. And whereas 10 years ago, pissed up and partying James would be like, I'm not reading a bloody book about you know
No. Well,
business growth.
I'll tell you the big thing. What was happening was like as I started to want to become this person who was helping more people, even if it was helping my clients, I was telling them all these things that they should be doing. And I was staying up until like 7 o'clock
Yeah,
in the
doing the
morning
opposite.
doing fucking coke and like canceling client calls because I was too fucking hungover. I realized that I need to sort my shit out.
Yeah,
I need to practice what I preach.
yeah,
Um, and although these were fun times, do you know what? I'd never change them, but the idea of it now, do you know what I mean? I'm always just
yeah, yeah,
trying to be better, trying to be a good example, especially with a son now, he's gonna do his own fucking crazy shit, and I know that. But, I am not gonna I will try and be a good guide to him, but he's
yeah,
gonna find out. I mean, all the shit that I've done's all over the fucking internet.
yeah.
Like he can find
Exactly.
that now, do
This
you
is
know what I mean?
you're
So
being it's part of your
yeah,
story and
but
stuff, and you're his
ultimately,
dad,
like,
and it's who you
yeah.
are, and it's
Exactly. We all have
um
our journeys to
yeah,
the journeys and the stories are what make us unique, I believe.
yeah, and that's why we can all follow our own path and do our own thing, is because we are all,
Yeah.
all different. And it's one of the things that when I was starting to create content and want to create videos, and my coach, I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do video, there's too many designers already doing," and there wasn't that many back then. But I was
Mm,
probably watching Roberto Blake and stuff like that, back then. But he was like, "Yeah, but why do you watch some and not others?" It's like, well, I kind of gravitate to the way that their style and their teaching would. He's like, exactly.
mm,
So people will be the same with you. There's an audience for
true.
everyone. You just have to put yourself out there. And
Mm,
I look back on that and go, that was probably one of the best things I did, because it opened up a lot of doors that I never thought would open just from doing some YouTube videos. Client
yeah.
base becoming global and all of that stuff. And you're like, holy shit! This little boy from Dundee who'd only for 15 years worked with local clients
Yeah.
suddenly was opened up to the
The
world,
the
and
power of
everyone
the
can do that. It
internet.
is that kind of system now, but you need to do all the stuff that we've kind of talked about earlier on with contracts, communication, all that stuff you need
Mm,
to kind of learn to be good at, so that you can do the best for you and do the best for the client that's paying you for the service. But
Proof.
I'm aware that, we're past the hour, and I promised you we wouldn't go too far past it. I'm a bit of a chatterbox and could go on forever. Um, but there's nothing to say you couldn't come back on in a year's time and give us an update on where
Yeah,
everything's going.
I would have, yeah, I think it's worth doing. Do you know
It
what I
is.
mean?
I think let
Make
people
sure
see
that
the growth.
make sure I've done all the things that I've said I'm going to
Yeah.
do.
Do you want to
Yeah.
wait? Do you want to wait another year, James? Yeah, yeah. Just
Nah,
give us another year. We'll be all good.
I'll be there. I'll be with you in a year, and I'm trying to think of what things I'll have 1 million followers on Instagram.
You're at what
I will
680K
be,
at the moment, so
yeah, my newsletter will be 100,000. My, I would have created communities. I would have brought back YouTube. I would have changed the fucking game, and I'll be doing a lot more fucking free education. That's what I'll be doing.
that's
Now I have to do it.
now
Now
you
I
have to
have
do
to
it
be
because there's
accountable
people
to
people
that.
watching. This has been recorded. It'll be on YouTube forever. Um,
Now I'm fucked. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll
but
get it
yeah,
done.
it's so. I mean, I've got your website open again, so everyone can see it. And we can see here you've got your Instagram channel. So basically, I suppose the easiest thing is jump over to the madebyjames.com and just click on all the icons and join and follow and whatever
Yeah.
you need to do.
Yeah, I mean the beauty of it now is like made by James. Like you can just type that in the old titty net and my
Comes
little
up, yeah,
face comes
your
up. Do you know what I
SEO
mean?
is
So,
good to
but
go.
yeah, I mean I would suggest that my newsletter is the place where I
Just click
put the
onto that
most
page.
put the most effort. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? For me, it's the
It
thing I
is, and
love the most.
it's a great one, and I always take bits out of out of it, and also as well, you do send out your deals and discounts off of the courses and stuff that you
Yeah,
have.
exactly. There's a
Um,
MBJ 30 deal going on right now with 30% off everything, and
and if you need a
like
contract, there's a contract in one
there
of
is a
those.
contract in there. There's also lots of
Yeah,
other good little
like
things in
Kaz said, he
there.
just bought that today, so
Oh, did he? Good lad.
yeah.
Um,
So
but yeah, I also like consistently drop free gifts in there as well. Free courses, free tools. I'm not. I'm always trying to give as much as I physically
yeah,
can.
I'm gonna be cheeky, and I'm gonna let Henry get his question in here. Okay,
Oh, please do.
it's not about sort of learning or anything. Well, it is about learning, I suppose, because he's going to learn from this. But anyway, um, Henry's asking any advice to avoid being too corporate with your designs or with our designs.
Do you know, is it Henry? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Henry, funnily enough, when I first started my career, I was so busy trying to be something that I thought I needed to be to get work that I didn't really want to do. And I did that for a very, very long time. I thought I had to be this buttoned up, well spoken, articulate,
Me too.
clean
I
website.
was clean shaven and
Yeah,
a
yeah.
shirt tie sometimes.
Yeah, not me. But yeah, and even in the work, I was very safe. I would go for the obvious rather than the creative. And I'll tell you what, Henry, the more I have lent into me and my personality, and whenever I think of the things I want to do now, I always think of what everybody else would do and try and do something different. And that has allowed me to now be a creative partner in my dream design agency,
Oh
Luca
yeah, yeah.
Design Co. Do you know
Congrats
what I
on
mean?
that.
Like that's all from being myself and doing work the way I want to do it. Now, yes, there are like what we talked that Cole was talking about. There are going to be people who don't like that. There are going to be people who say, "You're shit, you're crap, what a crap idea." But there'll also be a small percentage of people that will pay you lots of money to think differently and not think like every other fucker on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. I always use Instagram because it's just Insta-twat's always in my head, and that's where I spend most of my time. So, I'm gonna make a rod for my own back with that. But like, if you want to build a career and you want to stand out, and like, I would also suggest that that everybody that you follow and everybody that you admire are people that lean into themselves
That
and
are
lean into
doing that.
their own
Yeah.
style. So, like, learn from that. You know, don't reinvent the wheel. It takes time. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, it took me a good decade to get through that. Who am I? What do I want to do? Like, what do I want to be? How do I want to do my work? But just keep pushing yourself, because the more you are yourself, the more you'll do work you want to do, and that will eventually mean that you'll get more of the work that you want to do, and you'll be happy and less corporate.
Yeah. So Henry's in the Discord, in the Rocky Brand Discord, and he's a very talented designer. But he has just gone freelance himself. He was working inside the corporate structure as a
Mm,
designer in there. And I know that Henry won't mind me saying we used to have we've had a couple of chats where Henry has really great ideas,
mm.
but then the corporate pressure pushes you to the safe way, or
Of
no,
course,
no,
yeah,
we're not doing that, we're not doing that.
yeah.
And that can kind of have an impact on you. And it's,
Especially your confidence, yeah.
yeah, so Henry's starting out on his own, and he's been posting some stuff in Discord, but he's just been working on
Mm,
self-assigned projects and stuff.
love
And
that.
his work's really, really good. So I don't think
Awesome.
you'll have any problems, Henry. I just think it's, as James has said, it might take you some time to get there, but as long as you're working towards that, I
Mm,
think the suggestion of starting to, follow the people that you admire who are doing that stuff will let you kind
mm,
of rub off that it is there. And I think
yeah.
the point you made as well about it being might be a narrow amount of people that want your stuff. It's kind of
That's
what
all
you
you
want.
need.
It's what you
You
want. You
can't, you
don't want
can't,
all
you
of
can't
this.
physically do all the
No, you don't
work.
want all of this, because they're all the
No.
ones that are just wanting the same stuff.
Mm,
So if you can get that, then and you become a specialist and you're unique and the thing, then you can charge more
mm,
for your time. So
truth.
you know, um, but at the same time, we do all from time to time still have to do the a little bit of corporate stuff.
Oh, I do a lot of stuff
You
I
know,
don't want to do
um,
still. Yeah.
sometimes that could be
Yeah,
because
just
it's corporate. The budgets
don't put
tend
it
to
in
be
my
good.
portfolio. That's all it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just doesn't go in the portfolio.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Um,
pal. I can go and have my pizza now. That's what I can go and do.
oh, I'm on. See, you talked about physical and mental health. I'm like on a run of weight training 3 times a week, and I'm on a diet right now. So I'm trying
I
to get a couple
mean,
of stone off, and then
are you?
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
I was gonna say, are you? I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, I'll tell you what. I will eat that pizza with a little bit more joy, knowing that you can't have it.
I
That's what I'll do.
appreciate it. I will. I
I'm
will be.
eating it. I'm eating it so you don't have to.
I
That's what.
will.
See, I'm
I.
looking after you. I'm
I
looking
will.
after you.
I will take that. I will take that joy. Um. Cool.
Appreciate
Okay.
you, pal.
So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. I'm gonna just feel free to hang around in the background in Zoom
Mm,
if you want, or if you need to go off and get your pizza, please do. But I'm just going to
mm,
jump and change view for the people who are on the stream, and everyone who is on the stream. So let me find my little button that I need to click. Yes, here we are. So for everyone that's on the stream, I'm going to put your name into this the wheel of rock, and I'm going to spin it. And if your name gets chosen, if you're a designer, you can get a 90-minute mentoring session with me, or coaching session, whatever you want to talk about. If you are not a designer and you have a business and you're watching, then I'll do a consultation with you on your brand, and we can kind of take a look at if there's any things that we can problem solve for you if you want. So I just need to go and find everybody's names now, though. I was going to do this whilst we were chatting, but I thought it's going to be like really, really rude typing everybody's names in here. So there's who's in here. So Kaz is in here. I'm not going to put you on the wheel, James.
I wouldn't mind a coaching session.
Please. It would probably end up turning the other way around. Ruckus. Chloe. Henry. I'm making sure I do not miss anyone. Esteban. I'm going to need to find a different way of doing this. Maybe what I'll do next time is I'll have somebody on the
Tap in some
side.
names
Yeah,
for you.
somebody on the side who just basically just creates a text document and I can just copy and paste.
Yeah.
If I'm spelling your name wrong, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get these all in here as quickly as I can. This design life, I know that's you, Chris. So I'm putting Chris. I can't be bothered typing this design life. Oh, Cychrome is in here. All the artwork on behind me is by Cychrome, and I
I
feel kind
love
of
that
honoured that he's
stuff.
joined my live stream.
Love
Thank you so
that.
much, sir. Kaz, Chris, Cychrome. Oh, have I got Liam? Oh, there's Liam. You'll know Liam Jackson, don't you, James?
I do know
Yeah.
Liam Jackson, yes.
Liam,
Lovely chap.
and then I think that's everyone. I think that's everyone. Okay, let's how'd you spin the wheel? Oh, just click to spin the wheel. Right, okay, I'm clicking and I'm spinning the wheel. The wheel is going.
You sound like you've done this before, Cole.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's landed on Cychrome.
Ah, love that. Love that for Cychrome.
Cychrome, if you're up for a call, I'd love to have a call with you. What I'll do is I will catch you in your Discord and I'll drop you a message. But for anyone who's on, the plan is to be doing more live streams again because I really enjoy them. Get more people on, get learning from other people in the design space and maybe not the design space because sometimes it can be good to bring people in who have different angle on things. We will run the wheel every time. But if you win the wheel, your name comes off because I don't want to, risk the same person winning 2 or 3 times in a row. But yeah, so thank you very much, and thank you for hanging about there, James. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no,
But,
no worries.
Cychrome, I'll be in touch. Everyone else, thank you for being part of this. And if you want to join the Rocky Brand Discord, it's ryb.rocks/Discord. And I will see you next time. And bye for now. Wave, James.
Ta-ta, everybody. I'm off for
Bye,
pizza.
everyone.